It is January in Lancaster County. Outside, the wind is cutting across the hayfield and the thermometer says 15 degrees. The English neighbor down the road is sitting in his kitchen looking at his heating bill. $340 for the month, and there is still half a winter to go. He has a furnace running in the basement, fans pushing warm air through ducts, and a thermostat on the wall that asks for more whenever the house cools. The bill comes every month, no matter what. He has no real say in it. Now come into my house. It is the same kind of cold outside, the same kind of January, but the air inside is warm and steady. The floor is warm under your feet, and the bench along the wall of the sitting room is gently warm to the touch. There is no fan blowing. There is no furnace running. There is no wire from the power company anywhere in the building. There is a small fire burning in a heavy stone heater in the corner of the room. A fire so small it would not look like enough to keep a cat warm. And yet the whole house is comfortable and will stay comfortable until tomorrow morning when I will light another small fire just like it. That is not a trick. That is the way my people have kept warm for 200 years on this county, and the way good farmers in cold countries kept warm for 1,000 years before that. No gas, no electricity, no bill that comes every month. And the secret is not one big invention. It is 4 old methods that work together, each one cleverer than the last, and each one anyone listening to me right now can learn and put in their own home. My name is Amish. I am Amish, and I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Today I am going to walk you through how we heat a real living room. The room where the family gathers, where the children read in the evening, where Esther and I sit in the cold months without a single watt of power and without a propane line running in from the road. Now, let me show you the methods, and let me be honest with you right at the start, the way I always am. Some of what I am about to show you involves burning wood or coal indoors, and that means smoke and gases, and those have to be handled right or they can kill you. I will tell you straight at every safety point the right way to vent a flue. The absolute requirement for a carbon monoxide alarm in any house with combustion heat. The difference between a job you can do yourself and a job you should hire done. The methods are real. The safety is non-negotiable. Walk before you run and respect the fire, and you will be fine. Stay with me. The first method, and the heavyweight champion of them all, is the masonry heater. This is the one the European folks called the kakalofan, or the Russian stove, and what the old country farmers in the cold parts of the world built into the very middle of their houses long before there was such a thing as a furnace. A masonry heater is a heavy thing, a great mass of brick, stone, or fire clay built like a small square tower in the middle of a room, with a small firebox in the bottom and a long winding path inside through which the smoke must travel before it ever reaches the chimney. Here is how it works, and the marvel of it is in the math. Inside the firebox, you burn a hot, fast fire. Not a slow smolder like in a regular wood stove, but a roaring, intense fire that gets the air screaming hot. Hot enough that nearly every bit of the wood is burned to vapor and very little smoke comes out the other end. That hot air does not run straight up the chimney like in a fireplace, where most of the heat goes outside and warms the sky. It is forced to wind back and forth through long passages inside the stone, giving up its heat to the stone as it goes. By the time the smoke finally reaches the chimney, it is barely warm to the touch. Almost all of the heat from the fire has stayed in the stone, and the stone is the genius of it. Stone holds heat. Soak a great mass of stone with the heat of one hot fire, and it does not release that heat all at once. It slowly radiates it back into the room for the next 12, 18, 24 hours. Long after the fire has died, the stone is still gently warm, still giving heat to the room. You light 1 or 2 small hot fires in a day, maybe one in the morning, one in the evening, and the heater warms the house all the way around the clock. The wood efficiency is what stops folks cold the first time they hear it. A masonry heater uses a fraction of the wood a regular wood stove uses to heat the same space. Some good ones run on as little as 1/3 or 1/4 of the wood. 1 armload of dry hardwood in the morning is sometimes all it takes for the day. There is no constant feeding the fire, no waking up at midnight to throw in another log. One small hot fire well built and the stone does the rest. The honest word on the masonry heater: it is the most expensive of the methods I am going to show you today to put in. A proper one is built by a skilled mason brick by brick and runs many thousands of dollars to install. Sometimes $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 depending on the size and the country. It is a once-in-a-lifetime investment. But once it is in for 100 years, with no moving parts to break, no compressor, no electronics, nothing to wear out. Some of the old ones in Europe are 300 and 400 years old and still warming their houses every winter. That is the trade. Pay once, heat for generations. The second method, the modern homesteader's cousin to the masonry heater, is the rocket mass heater. This one came up among the off-grid and homestead folks in the last few decades, and it is brilliant. The idea is the same as the masonry heater. Burn a hot, fast fire. Capture the heat in a great mass of material. Let the mass slowly radiate the heat for hours. But where a masonry heater is a tall stone tower built by a mason, a rocket mass heater is something a careful person can build with their own hands out of bricks, sand, clay, and a clay and straw mixture they call cob. The shape is different too. Instead of a tower, a rocket mass heater is usually built as a long bench, a low, wide seat along the wall of the room. The fire burns in a small chamber at one end. The hot air is forced down through an insulated channel, then through a long pipe buried in the cob bench, and finally up a chimney. The bench soaks up the heat from the pipe and stays gently warm. Warm enough to sit on, sleep on, dry your wet boots on for many hours after the fire has gone out. The wood efficiency is even better than the masonry heater by some accounts. The good books on the rocket mass heater say it uses 70 to 90% less wood than a regular wood stove to heat the same space. A bundle of sticks the size of your arm, branches, scraps, prunings from the orchard, wood too small for a regular stove, can run one of these for hours. They are the great answer for a person who has small wood, not big logs, and wants to make every bit of it count. Now, here is the honest scope. A rocket mass heater is best for a modest, well-insulated space. A small house, a cabin, a workshop, a single large room. The internet talks of heating 2,000 square feet with one. I would not promise that. Heating 800 or 1,000 square feet of a well-insulated home is realistic. Heating a great big drafty barn house, less. So build it for the right space and it will serve you wonderfully. And the safety. A rocket mass heater is a serious combustion appliance. The chimney has to be sized right, the flue has to be insulated and code approved, and there must be a carbon monoxide alarm in the room where the heater is, and a smoke alarm too. Many fellows have built these with their own hands, and many have done it well. But this is not a project to make up as you go. Get the good builder guide. There is a real one by the wizarders, the people who have taught most of the modern builders. Follow proper plans or have someone build it for you. Smoke that backs up because of a bad chimney can kill a household in their sleep. The technology is honest. The safety is non-negotiable. Before we go on to the next method, let me pause for a moment. Watching these videos will give you ideas, but inside our Amish home savings system and community, we help you turn those ideas into real household habits. You get courses, challenges, checklists, savings ledgers, and direct access to ask Esther and me questions about your own home. The link is in the description. Now let me show you the third method, which is the one that doubles every other method I have just shown you. The third method is the building itself. This is the one folks miss. Long before any stove of any kind gets lit, a well-built house holds the heat that is in it, and a poorly built house leaks heat as fast as a bucket with a hole in it leaks water. You can put the finest masonry heater in the world inside a leaky, drafty box and burn yourself out of wood. The whole house becomes a giant version of the masonry heater, a thermal battery, gently giving back what was given to it during the day. A piece of soapstone the size of a brick sitting near a wood stove all day will be radiating gentle heat back into the room for 6 to 8 hours after the fire has died down. Now imagine a whole wall of brick or a stone hearth or a slate floor doing the same thing. That is what an old farmhouse feels like, even when the stove has burned down to embers. Warm because the building itself is warm. Build with good insulation. This is the modern part the old houses sometimes got wrong and we have improved. Today an Amish builder uses good thick insulation in the walls and the attic, sheep's wool or cellulose or whatever is honest and works, and seals the cracks where the cold wind sneaks in. A well-sealed, well-insulated house with passive solar windows and thermal mass and a center heater can almost heat itself. The fire is just the finish on the comfort, not the whole of it. These principles do not cost extra to apply once you know them. They cost a fortune to ignore. The fourth method is the coal stove. This one is real Pennsylvania Amish knowledge, especially in the coal country of central and western Pennsylvania. And I want to be honest about it because it has real upsides and real downsides. A coal stove is exactly what it sounds like, a heavy cast iron stove built to burn anthracite coal, the hard black kind they mine here in Pennsylvania. Coal burns long and slow and steady, far longer than wood. A single load of coal in a good stove can burn 12 to 24 hours, holding the house at a steady warmth all night without anybody getting up to feed it. The old folks always said, you did not have to fight with a coal stove the way you did with a wood stove. You loaded it, you set the damper, and it did its work. The cost works in coal country. The masonry heater and the rocket mass heater run on small armloads of wood. The house design itself catches free sun and holds free heat. The coal stove burns slow on a fuel that costs a fraction of what English heating costs. Put 2 or 3 of these methods together, a properly built house with a good masonry heater inside it, say, and you can heat a family home through a hard Pennsylvania winter for a small fraction of what the average house spends, and with no monthly bill at all. And here is the quiet truth about why most folks have never heard of any of this. There is no money in selling a man a masonry heater that lasts 100 years with no service contract. There is no money in teaching a family how to build a house that almost heats itself. There is no money in a $4,000 coal stove that will run for 50 years. The big money is in the monthly bill, the gas line, the electric bill, the propane delivery, the service plan. The whole modern heating business is built on the recurring charge, and the methods I have just shown you cut that recurring charge close to zero. So, nobody runs a commercial for the masonry heater, and nobody knocks on your door to teach you about south-facing windows. And a whole nation comes to believe that staying warm in winter must cost $300 a month. It does not have to. It never has. My people have lived warm and lived free of that bill for 200 years, on the same county in the same climate with the same winters. The knowledge has been here the whole time. Most folks have just never been told to look for it. So, here is what I want you to do. Start where you stand. You probably will not put in a masonry heater this week. They are a long project. But the principles of these 4 methods can begin to work for you right now. Find the cold air leaks in your house and seal them. Look at where your heat lives. Is it in the middle of the house or shoved against an outside wall? Watch the winter sun for a few days. See where it comes in. See where it could come in if you trimmed a tree or added a window. If you burn wood already, look at how much you are burning and look honestly at whether a more efficient stove would pay for itself in 2 or 3 winters. If you live in coal country and have not considered coal, do the math on it. It surprises people every time. And if you are someone who wants to go all the way to build the kind of house and heater that the old folks built, the kind that runs warm for 100 years with no bill, start studying now. Get the books. Visit a home with a masonry heater in it. Read the Rocket Mass Heater Builder's Guide. These are real skills with a real learning curve, but they are skills any patient person can learn, and they are the difference between a lifetime of monthly bills and a lifetime of free warmth. Tell me in the comments below, what kind of heat does your house run on now? And what is your monthly bill in the dead of winter? And if you have ever sat by a masonry stove or a tile oven in an old house, tell us what it felt like. Because the folks who have never felt it should know the difference. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been speaking of staying warm with less, I'm going to show you the old way my people keep the heat we have made. The simple cold weather habits, the heavy curtains, the right kind of blanket, the way we set the bedrooms and the kitchens, so a small fire heats a whole household instead of just one room. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, find your cold drafts, follow the sun, and remember that the warmest house in the village is almost always the one nobody is paying a bill on.